For more than 3 decades, Photoshop has been the face of Adobe. It's one of the most influential software products ever created, used by millions of designers, photographers, marketers, and creators around the world. So when most people think about Adobe, they think about Photoshop. But I believe that's becoming the wrong way to look at this company. Over the past few weeks, Adobe has announced a series of AI updates that, at first glance, seem like ordinary product improvements. A smarter Photoshop. A more capable Premiere Pro. New AI features across Creative Cloud. Most people see these as separate announcements. I don't. Because when you connect all the pieces, a much bigger picture begins to emerge. Adobe isn't just making Photoshop smarter. It isn't just adding AI to its applications. It's building something much bigger than Photoshop itself. And if that strategy succeeds, it could fundamentally change what Adobe really is, and why its future may be far more valuable than most investors realize. If you read the recent headlines, you'll see the same story repeated everywhere. Adobe launched new AI features. Adobe expanded Firefly. Adobe integrated with ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and Copilot. They're all important announcements. But they're not the real story. The real story isn't about what Adobe launched. It's about what Adobe is trying to become. Every announcement points in the same direction. Adobe is no longer thinking in terms of individual products. Instead, it's building an AI-powered platform that connects the entire creative process, from the first idea to the final delivery. Once you see that strategy, these headlines stop looking like separate product updates. They become pieces of a much larger puzzle. And that puzzle reveals why Adobe's ambitions now extend far beyond Photoshop. For years, Adobe's business was built around individual applications. Photoshop for images. Illustrator for vector graphics. Premiere Pro for video editing. Acrobat for documents. Each product was powerful on its own. But today, Adobe is connecting them in a way we've never seen before. Instead of treating AI as another feature inside each application, Adobe is making AI the layer that sits across its entire ecosystem. Imagine starting with an idea in Firefly, refining the artwork in Photoshop, creating illustrations in Illustrator, editing a video in Premiere Pro, and then sharing the final assets with your team, all with AI helping at every step. That's a very different business from simply selling creative software. Adobe is building a platform where ideas, content, and AI move seamlessly across the entire creative workflow. And that's why I believe the company's future is no longer defined by Photoshop. It's being defined by the intelligence that connects everything together. When Adobe first introduced Firefly, many people saw it as just another AI image generator. That may have been true in the beginning. But that's no longer what Firefly is becoming. Over the past few weeks, Adobe has expanded Firefly far beyond generating images. It now supports video, vector graphics, design assets, and AI-powered creative assistants across multiple applications. In other words, Firefly is evolving into the intelligence engine behind Creative Cloud. And that's an important distinction. Adobe doesn't need Firefly to replace Photoshop, Premiere Pro, or Illustrator. Instead, Firefly makes every one of those applications more capable. The more Adobe embeds AI across its ecosystem, the less users think about which application they're using. They simply focus on creating, while AI works across the entire workflow in the background. That's exactly what makes this strategy so powerful. The goal isn't to build another AI product. The goal is to make AI invisible and indispensable. Here's what caught my attention the most. Despite investing heavily in its own AI platform, Adobe isn't asking creators to abandon the tools they already use. Instead, it's bringing Adobe to wherever creators are working. That's why the company recently announced integrations with ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Microsoft Copilot, and Slack. At first, that may seem counterintuitive. Why would Adobe help other AI platforms? Because Adobe understands that winning the AI era isn't about owning every conversation. It's about becoming part of every creative workflow. Whether an idea starts inside ChatGPT, a marketing brief is written in Claude, or a project is managed through Copilot, Adobe wants to be the platform that turns those ideas into finished creative work. That's a very different strategy from competing head-to-head with every AI company. Instead of asking users to come to Adobe, Adobe is bringing its creative platform to wherever users already are. And that dramatically expands both its reach and its relevance in an AI-driven world. This is where Adobe's strategy becomes especially interesting for investors. For years, Adobe's competitive advantage came from industry-leading software and a loyal user base. AI has the potential to make that advantage even stronger. Think about how creators work today. A single project rarely stays inside one application. A marketing campaign might begin with an idea, move into image creation, continue with video editing, and end with collaboration across an entire team. Adobe is connecting every step of that process with AI. The more connected the workflow becomes, the more valuable the entire ecosystem becomes. Leaving Adobe no longer means replacing Photoshop or Premiere Pro. It means replacing an entire creative workflow that has become faster, smarter, and more integrated. That's a much higher switching cost than simply learning a new piece of software. And that's exactly why this strategy matters. Adobe isn't just adding new AI features. It's making its entire ecosystem more difficult to replace. For a company that already dominates creative software, that's a powerful way to strengthen its competitive moat. When people evaluate Adobe, they often compare its products. Is Photoshop better than Canva? Can Firefly compete with Midjourney? Will ChatGPT replace Creative Cloud? Those questions make sense. But they may also miss the bigger picture. Adobe isn't trying to win by building the best AI chatbot or the most powerful image generator. It's trying to become the platform that powers the entire creative process. From generating ideas, to creating images, editing videos, designing marketing assets, reviewing projects, and delivering final content. The more AI connects these steps together, the more valuable Adobe's platform becomes. That's what makes this transformation so important. The company is moving beyond individual applications and toward becoming the infrastructure that creative professionals rely on every day. And infrastructure businesses are often the hardest to replace. Because once they become part of how people work, they stop feeling like software. They become essential. Photoshop made Adobe one of the most successful software companies in history. But the next chapter of Adobe may not be defined by Photoshop alone. It may be defined by something much bigger. An AI-powered platform that connects every stage of the creative process. That's why I believe the recent announcements weren't just product updates. They were signals of where Adobe is heading. The company isn't simply adding AI to its software. It's redesigning how creative work gets done. Whether this strategy ultimately delivers the growth investors expect remains to be seen. But one thing is becoming increasingly clear. Adobe's ambition is no longer to build the world's best creative applications. Its ambition is to build the platform that creative professionals depend on every single day. And if that's the future Adobe is building, then Photoshop may one day be remembered, not as the company's greatest product, but as the foundation for something far bigger. As always, this video is not financial advice. Please do your own research before making any investment decisions. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this analysis, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below.